Hey.
I was like, I don't know how we make this work, but
Yeah, no, I got it. So we're here. Your hair looks beautiful.
thank you.
You're welcome. Actually, you just look beautiful in general. How's your day going?
Good. Yeah, good.
Good?
Just cleaning up around the house and
Is it, yeah, is it rainy where you're at too?
no. Oh,
Okay.
yeah, it is actually.
It's raining where I'm at. I've been laid up all morning, just chilling.
Yeah, same.
Oh, thanks, Michelle. Um, okay. Well, what have you got here? You have some of your work in your background?
Yeah. Well, this is my little corner that I'm always painting in and stuff. So I figured I might as well put one of the pieces up. I got this one is it's part of that other series, that Rose series.
Yep.
Um, and that one's called Everything in Its Time. So you got like a skull down here, a heart up here. So it's just kind of like how there's really a time for everything, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's also, I have that same tattoo on me.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
it's like an image that like I really like. And so I just keep drawing it. I've drawn it a bunch of times. I got it tattooed on myself. I painted it. So it's just kind of thinking about that whatever time or phase or whatever I'm in, like that's where I'm at right now. So like even with all this going on, that's why I'm like, you know, I'm just taking it for what it is.
Right.
Um,
Yes. So how has like your lifestyle been changed then? Like just with this time frame?
yeah, well, I was doing events before, like
Right.
same like you. So now it's like, okay, there was like organic at first because
Yeah.
it's like that. I feel like artists and anything that arts and entertainment, I think we were like the first to feel it. Like we're the first wave of like things that have to cancel, things
Right.
that all our gigs are dropped, all that kind of stuff. And so I think we had the little bit of panic set in first. By
Yeah.
the time that second wave came in, I think we were already kind of starting to like adjust and, kind of just adapt to whatever is going on.
Yeah.
Personally, I mean, at this point, I mean, I'm not even gonna lie, like I'm enjoying my time of being home. Like
But
I'm in this corner every day, which I was not able to do before because I was just so busy. And like even last year I spent so much of my time working on events that I don't even know if I painted one thing. I maybe painted one painting or two paintings last year. And
that,
now I'm like knocking them out. So
yeah.
even before this year, even before at the new year, I told myself I'm going to limit my events and I'm going to get back to creating because I haven't been creating. I've been so busy.
And then
So
the universe was like, we got your back
yeah,
on.
I was like, the universe did it anyway. So
Yeah.
it's like, it's kind of funny, and like, and even spending time with my kids, like all that kind of stuff is like, that's what I've been able to do now. I mean, it's not peaches and cream, of course, but it comes with its challenges, like all of it being working at home, the barriers that the whole COVID thing is putting in place, like being homeschooling, like all that kind of stuff. It does come with its challenges, but I mean, I'm enjoying it and I feel like I'm adapting,
Yeah.
well to it. So I'm just,
I mean, I feel like adapting and resilience are kind of just natural. Well, they go hand in hand with being an artist. You know what I mean? Like, in order to be somebody that can see stuff out in the world and then like change it up in your head and put something else out, you have to be able to change and adapt and flow.
yeah, absolutely.
Have you been able to do art with your kids lately?
Yeah, we do. I had them test out. Like I did these paint kits. So I'm gonna have them test out and
Yeah.
see how it goes for little kids. Like I did one, but I'm gonna have them do it and see how they do with it. We definitely went to the park at least once or twice and took some stuff for them to like paint and create there. My daughter started making like lotion bars. Like that started out as like a craft project and now it just like is turned into like a whole business that she's
Yeah.
got going. So
Young
yeah,
hustler.
yeah, for
That's
sure. For sure. But just finding little ways to get different kinds of creativity and stuff in there.
right. So,
Yeah.
like speaking of young people, how did you actually get your start in art? Like, is this something you've been doing since you were a kid, or like as an adult, or tell us that a little bit of that story.
Yeah. Well, I used to draw on everything. My parents used to I used to go through like post-it notes, every piece of paper in the house. Like my parents used to get me every little sticky pad that they could find from anywhere. I would fill those up. They'd get me the paper, the computer paper that had like the holes down the sides of it, and I would just
Big ream of it.
yeah, exactly, that folded zigzag. So like
Mm-hmm.
I would draw on all that. I think I drew on the wall a couple times. That they weren't happy about that one, but I
That's
mean, it's all good. It's what I do now. So,
yeah.
but yeah, so I did that for a very long time. My dad is actually an artist. I grew up
Oh
with
wow.
artwork in the house.
Wow.
Like I think all of the paintings in our house were his. And it's cool because I was just at Alki the other day, and one of the paintings I realized in just a few years ago that painting was Alki Beach from like one of the points
Oh,
there.
cool.
But my whole life I didn't know that's what it was.
Right.
And a few years ago I was like, this looks really familiar. I'm like, oh, it's Alki. So yeah, so I grew up with that. But he quit being an artist in order to be an accountant because it was more practical. And so when I went to college, I know, and I don't think he ever like recovered from that. You know, I feel like he always had that thing, that longing. You know, but it was the practical thing to do. He would tell me, be pragmatic, be practical. So when I went to University of Washington, I was so torn. I was like, okay, do I go into accounting, which is what he did, and it makes sense. He always said, like, even if there's no beans to count, somebody got to count them. You know, no matter how much or how little, somebody got to count the
He's
beans.
not wrong about that.
Right. So there's always work for accountants. You know, so I was
Mm-hmm.
like, damn. So but then I was also torn because I wanted to go to school for art. I ended up dropping out. Whole bunch of life happened. I did accounting for like 8 or 9 years. Did not love it. I was good at it. I would move from
Yeah.
job, but
Look at you.
it was boring, you know? So one day I was living in New York. I had moved to New York, and I was living there, and I was walking through downtown Brooklyn with a friend, and we stopped in an art supply store, and I was like, oh, you know what I haven't done in a long time? I haven't painted in a long time. So I just got like some little canvas boards and like just real basic stuff. And I started painting. My first painting, it was, I forgot what the name of the video is, but it was with Kanye and Jay-Z, where they're driving in the car and they have the American flag in the background and everything.
Yeah.
And they're just like spinning out and stuff.
Yeah.
Can't remember the name of it, but anyways, it was a scene from that. And so I painted that. It was probably maybe that big.
Little guys.
Little. And you know how long that took me? That took me so long.
Like days or like hours?
Oh, like almost probably like a month or two.
Oh, wow.
So,
You went.
it took me so long.
But that was that
And
first one.
just this little tiny thing, and I look at it and I'm like, oh, it looks awful, but it was my first painting, so I didn't forever. So I posted it, and then people like started saying like, oh, I want to buy that, or can you paint this, or can you paint that? And I like started selling stuff. And it's funny because when I first started, I was like, $5-10, I don't know. Like, I'm surprised you even want this.
Exactly.
So, then it kind of just, when they started asking me for portraits and that kind of stuff, then it just kind of grew from there. And I would say a few years ago, I started realizing like, oh, when I was back in Seattle, I was like, this could really be like a thing. Like, thank you, Instagram, thank you, art community.
Right.
Thank you, because my first year, I don't think I met any of my customers. They were all online from
Wow.
from Twitter and Instagram, pretty much.
What a time to be alive, yo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That actually kind of segues into one of my next questions too, was just I have noticed like well, at least to me, it seems like you have done like a really talented job of balancing kind of the creative side with the business side of your work.
Yeah.
So like just speaking like more about customers and stuff, for some of the artists that are in our viewership that don't know as much about running the business side, like what is that like? Like how do you balance it? How do you stay creative? How do you stay in your flow?
Yeah, that part is really hard because it just, I understand as an artist, it can be very overwhelming when you're like, okay, all I want to do is sit and paint, but I need to set up my business page, set up, you know, my event links. I need to be marketing. I need to file my taxes. I need to file to become a business. I need to have a W-9, you know, all these different things. And it is super overwhelming because even as good as a job that I feel like I'm doing, I also have like for every one thing or that I've got done, I feel like there's at least 3 more things that I'm like, damn, I guess it's getting done tomorrow. Like, you know, and tomorrow. But it is really hard. I've started to get a little better at reducing my list of things. So if it's like, okay, if I'm going to get 2 or 3 business things done, whether that's applying for a grant, updating my website, you know, doing a email blast to my customers, things like that, and using the tools. There's tons of tools online. I mean, there's
Right.
everything, PosterMe, Canva, Eventbrite, Wix. There's
Mail.
all these, MailChimp. I mean, all of these ways that you can reach your customers. And even just for me, like even wholesale buying of certain supplies and things like that. So,
Right.
but it's stuff that you learn. It's stuff that you know, you ask other artists, and if they're willing to share, which luckily I feel like our art community is really good about that. I don't feel like we got stingy people, you know, with the info or any of that. So that definitely is helpful. Ask, you know, there's resources around, you know, I'm sure Art Parlour's got some stuff and other places that you're connected with. For me, I've been connected with like Black Dot. That's been helpful, you know, to have business, you know, things that will help you out with.
So for those of us who, or those in the audience who don't know what Black Dot is, I think Black Dot's super duper awesome. So tell me more about that.
Yeah, so Black Dot is like an extension of Africatown, which is part of Africatown Land Trust. So they manage a lot of stuff. And so they have like a business hub over on Jackson, and I think another location a little more south too, but the one on Jackson.
They have a city too.
Yeah. Oh, do they?
I'm not sure. Like by the collaboratory, maybe?
That's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah. That's the one I'm thinking of. A little bit more. I'm in Central District, so a little bit south from
right.
Yep. Yeah, over on Jackson. So they have a business hub. They help small businesses and they help with housing. I mean, they just are a good resource center. But then a branch of that is Black Dot, where they're just constantly promoting Black artists, where they show work there. I've taught classes there. I've worked with them.
That's right.
Where they've sponsored classes for me to teach classes outside of there at like different, you know, facilities around the city and stuff like that. So they're just really helpful. And I met a lot of really cool artists that way. You know, and I took classes exactly on how do you turn art into a business. You know, yeah, Aramis. Actually, that's how Aramis. And that's how, yeah. And she was like the first one that I was like seeing, like she was really putting that game to use. So yeah, for sure. I mean, that was really helpful. Yeah.
That's cool. Well, I didn't know that. That's something that we want to do at Art Parlour too, like when we're able to open things back up again, because the studio that one of the co-founders owns is actually in Kent. So it kind of feels like that's a neighborhood where it could use more of this kind of stuff, you know? So that's cool. I feel like I just won with that little piece of information.
Yeah.
I like that.
Super helpful. And I think artists really need that for sure, because like we were saying, it's hard to balance out that business side with, I mean, most art, that's all we want to do is just create. It's like, but then how do we make the business? I think all that time that I was in corporate, that is helpful because I was, you know, doing the bookkeeping. I was doing filing taxes. I was, you know, office management and assistant and executive assistant and all these, you know, levels of corporate stuff that I now can take those skills and they're transferable to what I'm doing now. Yeah. But not everybody has that. So it's like that, those kind of resources are needed for sure.
Yeah, totally. My perfect world would be a world in which like everyone's either educated in all that stuff that they need to do, or everyone has a team of people that can kind of do it for them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think there's there's some organizations like Art Parlour and other places that I'm sure are starting to build up something like that. And in the long run, I mean, I actually would really like to have an arts and culture center here in the Central District. I got my eye on a couple little spots, you know, so
Yes.
I got some people that are very, very willing to help me, you know, put together a business plan, find investors, all that kind of stuff. So I just got to do the work and figure out how, I mean, I'm figuring out as I go. I don't know none of this stuff, so I'm figuring it out as I go.
That's fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I'll be watching your page and stuff for that. Thank you, Michelle. Yes, manifest. Also, people that are in the audience, you're welcome to do Q&A if you want also.
Yeah,
So if you drop a Q in the thing, in the little Q&A thing, I'll pop it up on the screen so me and Stephanie can talk about it. But so speaking of, and it's like so funny the way that you're talking is like just flowing naturally with the questions that I had prepared. So that's cool, synchronicity. But so you're talking about having an arts and community center, and so I would love to just hear a little bit more about like the previous events you were doing, the kind of ways that you like to build and kind of like invest in and love on the community and that.
Yeah, for sure. And that's kind of why I want to do it, is because in creating all those events, I found that space was the hardest thing. That was always my biggest challenge. So I would like to be, and they're just disappearing. You know, these spaces are disappearing.
Right.
Yeah, like dropping like flies. So it would be nice to have a place that I could do that. But yeah, the art events and stuff that I do Breaks and Eggs, which is like a funky brunch kind of day party thing. And I also kind of started combining that, because I was like, okay, I always want to like highlight other artists. That's my passion, is building art through community. That's what my business mission statement is building art through building community through art.
Right.
So I started partnering with, like, if someone's doing a book release, or if there's a poetry you know, group, something like that. So then they would be the featured artist of Breaks and Eggs. So that was one thing.
That's lit.
Hopefully we'll get back to that, you know.
We will. And,
yeah.
Or
so,
but at some time.
And I do Heart in the Paint, which is like art, music, there's food. It starts with a paint class, and then there's an art show, and then there's a party afterwards. And it's all a lot of artists, DJ sets, all that kind of stuff. And then a couple other things here and there that are just more like one-offs. But It's always about, I am really big on, you know, cooperative economics is kind of, that's, it works. It works really well. If you bring your talent and your audience, and I bring mine and you bring yours, and then our audiences start like cross-pollinating. I've had people that I'm not even showing at this event that I put together, but then they are like, oh, what are you about? You know, or somebody comes to my show and they're like, oh, what are you about? And then I even find out artists that I had for shows start talking to each other, and now they're collaborating on something together.
Right.
You know, so I just find if you get creative people in a room,
yes,
it's gold. I mean, it's gold.
Yes.
You know, and everybody's doing their little part, you know, you're able to really build something beautiful that's beneficial to everybody. So yeah, I mean, that's always the goal of the event, is like, how can is everybody going to win in this situation? Yes, it's a go, you know.
That's fire. That's kind of the same wave when Michelle and I used to do the art shows in Belltown. That
I miss those.
Well, so yeah, man. I had just gotten like a contract with this dope space in Pioneer Square, and my first art show in First Thursdays that I was going to curate was going to be the April First Thursdays, and my first one was so, you know, don't worry.
Yeah.
You know, cats are out here working. We're making connections. We're
everything in its time. Everything in its time.
You know, I actually agree with you. You know, I've really been enjoying this time at home as well. So I think this is good. It's obviously not good globally, but for me, it's good to just be having some time to chill out and find some quiet, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Stillness. Yeah. We do have a question from the audience. So this is like a great little question just for you, Stephanie. So what do you have any suggestions for a couple that wants to paint at home, if they're new to acrylic? I can imagine lots of couples are trying lots of new stuff right now because they're kind of stuck at home.
I
So
know, I know. Well, I mean, not to plug it or whatever, but because I'm actually teaching a class for a couple tomorrow,
oh,
via virtual class.
that's cute.
So, I mean, I could send you a list of stuff, but I mean, with acrylic is super, super easy to use. It dries really quickly. I mean, it's very forgiving as far as like you're able to make adjustments and that kind of stuff with it. It's not expensive like some of the other mediums out there. But I would definitely say there are lots of artists, including myself, who have paint kits available. So I actually have some paint kits on my website. I have two different options for doing paint. I have the DIY where it's like pre-sketched.
Yeah, show us one. I saw your post on them yesterday. They're so cute.
Thank you. Yeah, I got a couple of them. Right here. So like, it'll start out looking like this, right? And then I put in, you get brushes, paint pots, a palette, and the pre-sketched canvas. And then so they'll, like, you can make something like that was my, like, version of it. Like, you add up, you know, you can, like, add some stuff. I left it really blank, you know? And so I've got...
Up together?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I've got the blank one. I left just blank enough to where you can add, you know, stuff in there.
Yeah.
So, and I've got a couple different things like that. Of course, I'm gonna plug mine. It's on my website, AXSMart.com. AXSMartLLC.com. But so yeah, I've got those. That's a great, easy way to start out because it's already drawn for you. You don't have to figure out what you're gonna come up with. The other thing that myself and other artists are doing is virtual classes. I'm also doing one of those next Sunday. I'm doing that for free. So it's free to log in. You just register. And then if you want to get your own supplies, there's a list. If you want to get supplies from me, I have, again, paint kits here. So, and they can pick up or meet me at South Center or something like that. So that there's lots of, you know, and like I said, if you don't want to go to mine, there are other artists too. So there's lots of options for that. And it's great because it supports an artist and it's a very easy way to kind of start out in getting into something like that for sure.
Yeah. No, I think they're great that you put together. And I was hoping we would get to talk about those today.
Yeah.
So
I know it's like working out really well.
Yeah. So one more question and then we'll wrap things up a little bit. Which it's like almost been half an hour already. I don't know how that happened. But so besides your paint kits, like what other kinds of things are you offering to the community right now? Because I know, you know, obviously it's come through in this interview and like just from what I know of you, you're definitely someone that's very into, you know, being supportive in the community and connecting people. So how are you feeling that desire of yours right now?
Yeah. Definitely the paint kits, the paint classes, the virtual paint classes. I have some ideas about, you know, online virtual markets. That's one thing that I've been talking with a couple different people, including Naima from Avenue South.
Woo!
Yeah.
Love Naima.
So we've been talking about that. I have some other ideas floating around about, you know, how to try to adjust to some of this stuff, or partnering with other small businesses and making like packages that come with like my paint kit and somebody else's plate that they do and somebody else who does drinks, you know. Making like a package thing.
Yes.
So you can pay one price and you'll be supporting all of these businesses.
Plus, I'm sorry. But so like the taco place by my house is doing like to-go margaritas and they'll give you like a tiny little thing of humidor and then the juice is in the cup.
Yeah.
And I feel like that would be like a really cute kind of way to substitute for paint and sips, you know, like something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Michelle just dropped Avenue South in the comments too. If y'all want to check Naima's page out, she's so awesome. I use her coffee scrub in the morning in my shower.
Yeah, she is. And I met her. See, this is what I met her doing an event. So it's like, you know, I did food, but I didn't really know her. And then having her at the event, now we've built a relationship where we can partner on other things.
Right.
So, which is like great.
Yeah, that's super awesome. So we are pretty much at like the close of our interview now. So what do you want to leave the audience with? What are your last final words?
I would just say, you know, for the artists, keep creating, and just use that time. And for people who have not done that, I mean, the Renaissance came after the Black Plague. So this is artist time. And this is also people who are not artists this is their time to like give it a try. My friend, she always says, you know, it's not about the product, it's the process. So this is the perfect time to like experience the process of creating whatever it is. Even if you don't think you're good, even if you are scared, even if you don't know how, just do it. You know, this is the time. Nobody's looking right now. You're home, you're alone, like do your thing, you know? So yeah, I would definitely say everybody just keep creating. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's great advice. Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I'll see you around the internet then.
See you around, boo.
All right. Peace.
All right.